Welcome to the cast. We are so glad that you are here with us. Today, we have two new guests. Well, one really new, the other one you see behind the scenes. But my name is Emily. My co-host is Gary. We have our peanut gallery over here, Tia, her so-called walrus position.
Hey, that was private.
And Shannon, and then Timmy, who normally does all of our work behind the scenes. He is actually going to be one of the guest speakers tonight, along with his wife, Melissa. So thank you for joining us tonight. We are so excited to get into your story and kind of hear a little bit. We've had a lot of good feedback with people's stories in the church and others getting to know families that maybe they are not familiar with or they don't serve in the same area with. So it's just nice to build that community. So whether you're listening or watching, I'm so glad that you have joined us. And so we're just going to kind of get the ball rolling. Hope you guys are not nervous. I know, Tim, you're good. Melissa?
I'm happy.
Yeah, Melissa, you're good. You're good. You got this. So I don't know how deep you want to get into the stories tonight. Either one of you are more than welcome to start off however you want. And, Gary and I will kind of intercede here and there, maybe with some questions. You guys just bounce back and forth off each other. Just be real and maybe start off, how you have found the Lord in your life. And did you grow up in church? Were you brought up in church? Were you brought up in a certain way of believing? Whatever you guys want to start with. This is a totally comfortable space. So whoever wants to start.
You want to go?
Sure.
All right.
I am older, even though I don't look it. I'm like 2 years older than him. I didn't really grow up in church. My parents, they were beer drinkers. So there's a funny story. When I was 4, I went around emptying all the beer cans in the house because they were drinking with friends. And they found me passed out on the stairs, and they took me to bed.
Oh, no.
My mom didn't realize what had happened until she was like, I smell beer on her breath. Mm-hmm. From then on, she always made sure it was up high to where I couldn't reach it. So, and they were responsible, though. Like, they wouldn't both get drunk at the same night. They would trade off. Mm-hmm. And the friends lived next door, so they would walk home instead of driving drunk home. They would just be staggering home. Yeah. So, when we moved to Avoca, we had some neighbors, and they started inviting us to church. Finally, my mom was like, okay, we got 3 neighbors that keep inviting us to church all the time. So, we went to Springville Community Church. It's now Crossroads.
Okay.
It was a little bitty church. It's not even there anymore. They've built a house there. So they tore the building down. But we started going to church there, and my parents got saved first and baptized. And then they stopped drinking. And when I was about 8, I went to the VBS at the church, and I got saved that week at Vacation Bible School. And I got baptized also not long after in October of 88. And I only did it because I didn't understand it, so I'll go into another detail, but I had ended up having to get rebaptized when I was an adult because I didn't understand it at first. I was just like, okay, we do this because I got saved. So anyway, and then we went to, not long after we went to Springville, we went to a new church. It was called New Hope Ministries. So they had just started up a church. It was actually the music minister who left Springville. And there was some, a little bit of a split. So he started his own church and started going there. And when I was about 12, I would go to church on Sunday, but then through the week, I really wouldn't act like a Christian. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd and smoking cigarettes and from when I was 12 until about 15. And then when I was 15 is when we started going to church here. And I always knew, like, the baptism of the Holy Spirit, but I didn't understand it until I started going to church here, and the youth pastor described it. And I received it in youth group when I was 15. So that was really cool. And it's like a turning point for me. From then on, I just dove in and started getting involved in everything. I was in the drama team, the praise team, the youth praise team, and nursery, just all kinds of stuff. And then, when I was about, well, we'll get to that in a minute. That was when we were together.
Yeah, you're jumping ahead.
Yeah. I tried to jump ahead. I was like, I'm not even really looking at my notes anymore.
So you were involved, and I remember in high school, I was in band class, and you'd come up and you'd be like, "Good morning, how are you? You should come to my church." And you always thought I was depressed, which I think is hilarious. Yeah. it's 8:30 in the morning.
Yeah, he would be like, and
this is long before we were a thing.
You know, I was always peppy and happy because I would wake up at like 5 in the morning and get my shower in and my devotionals and pray. And so I would always arrive at school.
What happened? No,
full of the Holy Spirit. And yeah, I don't wake up easily anymore. But yeah, I was always just, wide awake and everything. And he wasn't. It was kind of funny. But let me see here. I was trying to figure out.
So did you just kind of spoke with him just trying to be a friend, or did you have like a little bit of interest at that time?
I didn't have any interest really. It was just a friend thing.
Just curious. I was interested in the depressed kid.
I knew of him.
It was mutual.
I knew of him in elementary school, actually.
Okay.
I first remember running across you in junior high. So.
Yeah, but I remember him from the playground at elementary school at Lincoln.
Was he tall and goofy?
Because he was so tall. I remember asking my best friend, I was like, is he like our age, or is he 16 and just flunked a lot? Because he was so tall. He was like 5 foot something, and here I am, just a little short, 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I asked her, and she's like, no, he's my age. We've gone to kindergarten together. And I was like, oh, okay.
Not
I think
dumb, just tall.
She actually asked him, I think. She was like, are you my age? And he's like, yeah. But anyway, so the start of how we got together was he started going to church here in
was it your invite that brought him?
No. He actually
I have to tell my story to get to that.
Yeah, a mutual friend of ours.
It was May 28th, 2000.
Invited him.
Specific.
Okay. And
that's true.
I was off at college, actually. I had no idea he was going to church here until I came back home from college at Anderson University, and he was like, I was like, wait, you go to church here? And he's like, yeah. And then
right now
he invited me to hang out with him after church one day.
I was like that.
I was like, well, I guess, because I was like, all my friends were gone, getting ready to go to college, or they were still at college. So I was like, I guess we can hang out. Yeah, sure. And then he kept trying to like put his arm around me and all that. And I'm just like,
smooth.
I was never that good at that.
I was like, I just want to focus on my relationship with God. I'm done with men right now. I'm not interested, but, but anyway, so we started hanging out, and it was like, okay, well, and then one Sunday at church, I heard a voice saying, he's the one. And backtrack, when I was in high school, I was having a pity party and I was crying and I was just like, okay, God, am I ever going to get married, or I'm just going to grow old and alone?
This was high school?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, okay, am I going to get married? And I heard yes. And then he gave me a vision. Here I was standing on the stage at our church in a wedding dress. And there in front of me was a really tall guy with dark hair, but his face was blurry. And I was like, could you kind of blur out, remove the blur from his face so I can see who I'm going to marry? And he's like, it's not time.
Wow.
And I was like, okay, not time. But then whenever he and I had hung out, and then I was in church service one Sunday night, and God was like, he's the one. And I look and I was like, what? I even looked behind me because it sounded so like somebody was telling me audibly almost.
I thought you were going to say you look behind you, see it was another guy.
No.
Oh, Lord, not him.
But I was like, what? He was the one in my vision. And I was like, that is so crazy. And it wasn't time. I mean, in high school, he was Baptist. Here I am, this crazy Pentecost. And so it would not have worked out, probably. He would have been freaked out, probably, by all the stuff at our church. But he was at the beginning.
So let's stop there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I got a lot of catching up to do. You've jumped so far ahead so quickly.
Okay.
That's how we work. Oh, well, as far as me, I was raised in church in a Christian family, and I did attend a church that my grandmother went to and still does. It's a Church of the Nazarene Church. But my mom, occasionally we'd switch and go to another church out in the area where I grew up here in Lawrence County, and it was a Baptist church. And I got saved at church camp when I was 12, I remember. And from then on, it was always like trying to live life right, trying to, do the right thing while also being a teenage boy. And it was not always the easiest thing. But by the time I was in high school, I was pretty well committed to the bit that I wanted to live for the Lord. And I kind of will just jump up to about the time I got my driver's license, because some things that went on in the church I grew up with. We'd had a really cool pastor, and then there were some disagreements, and it was, I have a lot of what I call church split stories from the early years. And this was one of those. And then I had some friends that went to Avoca Baptist Church, and as soon as I get my driver's license, I was out of there, and that's where I went and hung out with my friends there. And that was a good time. And I started to serve some there. We had a youth pastor I was really fond of. His name was Lee Brown. He's still around. He's down in the Evansville or Posey County area nowadays. But a really influential guy. I remember we had a fundraiser for the ABA Youth Convention in 1999. So I was a junior in high school, I guess, toward the end of that year, that school year. And this is the kind of guy Lee was. I have to talk about him just because I like him. He goes, if you guys raise more money than any Baptist church in the state of Indiana for this, there's something like Speed the Light. It wasn't the same thing, like the Assemblies of God Speed the Light. They had this deal where whichever church did that, the youth leader had to kiss a pig, a real pig, at this convention. And he goes, if you raise enough money that we win the whole state, I'll make out with the pig.
Was the pig at the convention already, prepped and ready to go?
Like a little pig, yeah, like a little farm pig.
Okay.
Little pink fella.
Now, making out with a pig and kissing a pig are two different things.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah.
Get that defined.
So
Sounds like
it was a little youth group, maybe 8 people, and we committed to raise all the money we could. We had a walk-a-thon in the top of the gym that was being built at that church that had a big walkway around the top. And we got to that convention in Greenwood, and we had raised more money than any other Baptist church in the state that year.
That's awesome.
Little Avoca Baptist Church. And Lee, a man of his word, made out with that pig. Those kids lost their minds. He comes back and just goes, I think the pig liked it. So bad. Anyway.
Wow.
For some reason, Lee decided to leave, and being the follower of men I kind of was at the time, I got real upset about that. And he went to Illinois or someplace to be a head pastor of a church. And I hung around there for a while, and it was a good church, but I had a group of students that were my age at Bedford North Lawrence High School that were just lit up. I don't know what was going on. I do know what was going on over here, but it was this thing called Extreme. That's a great youth group name. I've always liked it. It's Extreme.
Forgot about that.
Right.
And they were having parties down here on Wednesday nights, as far as I could tell. The last few months I went to Avoca, we would finish our youth service. I would drive down here and come to this one because it would still be going on. Wow. They started at the same time, and they'd run until 9 o'clock or something. And it was really something. There was like 80 kids here. I mean, it was the fellowship hall was just taken over. That's where it was back then. And my good best friend, Chris Yeske, I'd made in high school. I said, I'm going to come out and check out your church. And, okay, this is a true story. I'm so glad I remember this to tell this. This was a full year before I started coming here, speaking of freaked out. I go down there with Chris. This was in 1998. So I just said, well, I'll come visit your church. Sure. And a bunch of them were down there. I was like, man, we're going to pray. We're going to talk to Jesus. And they went in this little classroom that's off to the left of the fellowship hall today. And we all hold hands like, all right, we're going to pray. And Skylar Stroud was in there. and he just stands out and holds hands. And I'm like, all right, we're going to pray. I'm very Baptist. It's like a very solemn thing. And all of a sudden, Skylar's like, Father God, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, my eyes are like that. I'm like, what's wrong with these people? And I was like, okay, that's cool. I didn't come back for a year. Extreme was a little too extreme for me initially. But so I carried on at Avoca, and I came back here, and I finally decided, well, I'm just going to go here. Starting on Sundays. I think I went to Wednesday as a youth right up till I graduated high school. And this was with a small group of students. Megan Rubel, Aaron, Tia's sister Aaron was one of them. Chris was here. That was our class of 2000. And so I was never in Extreme because I was graduating high school as I started to appear. But just the profound impact that this church had on that era attracted me. The joy, the way people worshiped. It's similar to like what so many of us have said in other episodes. It was just, it drew me in. I was like, okay, these people know what's up. Something's going on. What is this worship? It's so real. And that did lead me to come here, and within a month of coming here, I asked out the redheaded girl in the pew because I also was I'm going to die old and alone, and when I was all of 18 years old, like you. So, and we started dating in 2000 on the 4th of July. I think it was when it was official. I took her down to the Williams fireworks.
Yes.
That used to be a thing.
What a date.
Yeah.
I had no clue it was going on. We were driving around, and he was
parked
like,
down by the covered bridge.
Oh, there's fireworks up there. And we're like, he goes, I think that's at Williams. And you want to go?
Yeah.
Sure. Why
I was
not?
looking for any excuse to hang out with you. Yeah. So,
Aw.
and yeah, it's kind of where how we ended up together, and the story became our story instead of just each story. So,
right.
Yeah.
All right. So blend your stories together now.
Okay. So we started dating in July, and then by that February, we were going to get engaged.
We were.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because we already knew before we started, officially dating that we were going to be married because God said,
It was very obvious.
And by that September of 2001, 2 weeks after 9/11, actually, he and I got married.
Okay.
On 29th of September. And we'll be married for 25 years.
It's coming.
Yeah.
I don't know how you put up with me.
God.
Yeah.
But he was 19 and I was 21
Okay.
when we got married. So fairly young. But we had it was very humble beginning because
Boy, we were broke.
I worked at Arby's restaurant here in Bedford, and he worked at Mills Market, and he was still attending college at ITT in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And he was commuting from Buda all the way to Indy.
Because I knew since I was 14 what I was going to be when I grew up.
Yeah,
so.
it was a 1969 Ford Fairlane. Right?
Oh, that terrible thing. Yeah. The classic.
So he drove that to Indy, if you believe it or not.
And you made it back safely.
That car never did strand me.
That's
It
great.
almost fell apart a couple times. But yeah, I'm pretty frugal, and people are like, man, you drive these old cars. I'm like, man, I don't have any debt on those pieces of junk. And I'm not afraid to turn a wrench. So, and it started because I kept buying. I had no money, so some old fellow was like, "Here, $400 for this car." I'm like, "Yep, sold."
Sign me up.
And the first time I rode in it, it was.
Oh, you were so embarrassed of that thing.
It had ants all over.
Yeah, probably.
They were crawling all up my legs.
Oh, now that's
hated it.
dedication, girl.
And
It was
so
like
he put ant
avocado
traps.
green car.
Oh, it was awful.
Yeah, you were so embarrassed.
And every time we'd go over a speed bump, it would go. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, somebody's gonna see me." I was still, in my insecure of like, my friends might see me in this thing.
I probably did.
He probably did.
Oh, but yeah, it's been a trip because I was going to college for IT in general at the time. I've eventually spun that into computer programming and software development, which is what I do today. Mostly by saying I'll do this and I'll code it. That's kind of how that worked. But it's been a good career, and we've been very blessed to go from flat, completely broke to we're doing all right now.
That's great.
We're not like millionaires, but we're very blessed.
We don't worry about money much, so that's
Yeah.
wonderful. So
The Lord
I'm
always
able to give
takes
back.
care.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can put money in savings now.
it's amazing.
And if my washing machine breaks down, it's like, oh, we'll just go order another one. I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
It's been an interesting thing, I think, when things go wrong, because you grew up. I had okay
Yeah.
money growing up. You really didn't have much.
No,
And
we were very poor.
sometimes something will go wrong, like the fridge will go out, and she really panics. I'm like, we're all right. God's taking care of us here. We'll just go buy another one today.
Yeah, I do panic because
Yeah.
my parents, never had money. I literally can remember my mom urging me to go spend the night with my grandparents on weekends a lot. And it wasn't until I was older, I was like, "Mom, why did you urge me to go when I didn't want to go?" And she's like, "Well, that was the weekends that your dad and I were going to be splitting a can of vegetables because we didn't have any food." And I was like shocked.
Yeah.
I was like, how did they hide that from us so well?
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
We were getting food from food banks and stuff. It was just, we were really poor.
Yeah.
But to now to be so blessed, it's amazing. It's like, okay, God, you're awesome.
Yeah.
How he wrote my story like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. I love that you're sharing that, even down to like the most simple but real things. Like they were sharing a can of vegetables.
Right.
A lot of people think that minute details like that don't matter in their stories, but that right there just proves how much the Lord has turned around and blessed you. And that is a part of your story.
Yeah, it is.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So we'll get back to your guys' story in a second. Apparently Shannon has a fun fact or something for us, so this may be a good little break.
I'm excited.
You got something for us?
Think about this.
Oh my gosh.
That's not.
Humans, we have unique prints on our tongues, just like our fingers and thumbs. So if we ever get to the point where cops want to start just inking up our tongues and having us lick paper, they can identify us that way.
Okay, and that's our final fact of the day.
Fun fact.
Well, it just opens up some possibilities. That's all I'm saying.
I have learned something. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
I don't know how to respond.
Just accept it as fresh knowledge.
I think
Yeah.
that almost qualifies as like, and now it's time with Silly Songs with Larry kind of level. Yeah.
Back to you guys' story. Can you share or touch on finding your faith, I guess? Are there some key moments that you guys really, I don't know, take
Yeah.
it from there?
Yeah, I think I can do that. In the episode that recently came out on dating, I mentioned something at the end of that where I think you have to find yourself to find the person, but God blessed me by my not having done that, but giving me the right person. Because in high school, it was always, nobody likes me. I've been bullied since 6th grade. The girls don't like me. And, I'd, get some crush on some high school girl that was my age at the time, and she would not be interested, and we'd just be friends. I'm like, nobody's ever going to like me. And I was fortunate to find Melissa, who obviously seems like struggled with some of the same things. I wasn't around for that, but being so young, we got married, and we had to learn. I had to learn that she isn't. Oh, somebody's going to love me for the rest of my life. Everything's good now. It was fine, but then she doesn't always enjoy the things I enjoy, and I don't enjoy the things she enjoys, and I'd gripe all the time if we wanted to go shopping at the mall when she wanted to go shopping at the mall, and silly things like that. And God had to teach me, and thankfully with her patience, how to not be a jerk, because I think my default personality is jerk. Jesus has helped me with that, but I'm a grumpy old fart, and I was a grumpy young fart. But God really reached me through that, and it took a lot of trial and error and prayer, and finally realized that I have to know who I am and believe on my own and not have to rely on somebody or put them on a pedestal or rely on her faith to serve correctly and serve my wife correctly. And I think that's been one of the biggest things between that and raising children that have helped me learn to be a better Christian, or how to even be a Christian in a lot of ways. I mean, I was saved for a long time before we were together, but that's kind of how I found my faith. And in various other hard times, learning to get into my career, sometimes you just got to let go and let God, as cliche as that is. That's kind of been my experience. Is anytime I think I've got it figured out, He's quick to show me that maybe I don't. And listening and learning and allowing myself to be changed by that is a big part of my journey, even now, all the time. So,
and that's not easy to do.
No.
I mean, we as humans are so full of pride at times. So kudos to you, for letting God continue to mold you and change you. I mean, we all struggle with that. So, that's a great little example. So, Melissa, have anything to continue adding?
I don't know. Just, when I fell away from Him when I was around 12, being the rebellious, because I was trying to fit in with my friends, because I was insecure. I, bullied my whole life for being poor. They would call me ugly. And so I started believing I was ugly.
Yeah.
My whole life. And of course he tells me I'm beautiful every day practically. And so I had to he was kind of conditioning, to where I'd be positive thinking about myself. And when I would be look in the mirror and I'd be like, what? Beautiful. I don't see no beauty there.
That's the face you make when I say it every
day. And so, I mean, He's helped a lot with my insecurities. So, that helped me. But anyway, back to getting saved. Like, I rededicated, when I was 15. And I haven't always hung on there. But I'm glad that every time I would fall back a little bit, He'd bring me back. Every time. And it's just been a really good journey walking with Him. And here I am in my 40s, and I'm finally get it to where I do my devotional every day, and I worship and I pray, and I spend a good at least 2 hours a day with Him. And it took me a long time to get that. But I'm glad I do, because, I don't have to work if I don't want to. He provides well for us. I do sub here and there at the school occasionally, but that I have that time I can spend with God, and I need it right now, because raising 3 kids, and one is adult and who doesn't attend church anymore. And we could go more on that topic, but I don't want to go too in depth of it, because there's a lot of issues there. But it's been really struggle for us, because we're like, where did we go wrong? And God was like, you didn't do anything wrong. Said He started listening to the wrong voice. And so we had to kind of accept that. So I pray daily, for a family who doesn't know God, because I just want them to know God. And not just know of him, but know him like I know him.
So we know that there's a lot of people that attend the church that have unsaved loved ones and that are, affected and hurting for those that are lost. What kind of encouragement can you give those people in regards to how you continue hanging on, and kind of in terms of what Tim said, let go and let God. Right. That's so hard, I'm sure. And letting that control be in God's hands. What do you have any encouragement to give people?
Just don't stop praying. You never know what God can do. We hear stories about people who were so far from God, and then they bring, God brings them in. Yeah. So just don't stop praying. Eventually, you may see it, you may not. But eventually, they may come to God. So just keep praying.
Yeah. Having faith.
Faith. Yeah.
You also have to have faith the seeds were planted. This is kind of speaking in regards to your children. Because I feel like we did that. And, we weren't always the best example. We were young and figuring out life while also having kids. It's a side effect of having kids young and getting married young. But that's kind of where I've ended up, because there have been a lot of, wow, what did I miss with certain situations with my kids? And, to the point where we had to ask others and seek counseling and be like, what's this all about? We had to hear from others, even though we were hearing it. But you just have to have faith the seeds planted and continue to pray, because I believe that's the case. I believe things will go certain ways that I've prayed they will go. And that's really all I can do. I can't beat myself up. And I don't know. I hope you don't.
No, I don't. Not anymore, because talking to God, and it was like, you didn't do anything wrong.
So that's kind of the advice I would give for that situation. But in general, that applies to so many, because so many of these people being prayed for, they know.
Right.
They just may not pursue. They may run from, for this or that reason, run from God. Right.
I truly believe, someone said this one time, they had a child that had stepped away from the faith, and they said, I know I shouldn't worry, because I know they understand their roots. And, roots always grasp and take hold and stay firm. There may be storms and times, but those roots are always there. So now, Melissa, I know you had mentioned you spend several hours praying and talking with the Lord each day. And I feel like that is very common for women. Like, we're, in tune, things like that. Yeah. Spend time praying. We're more emotional.
Right.
Tim, how do you connect with God on a daily basis? What's some good tips for men? Because I know sometimes men are like, well, that's not very manly, or, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I think prayer is important, and there is a lot of stigmatism. I think that's the word. Stigmas where, it's not manly to be emotional or to pray. And I've never agreed with that. That's a lot harder for some guys than others, but I think you should pray. I think you shouldn't be afraid to worship. That's something I've learned here. Demonstrative worship isn't just the realm of the ladies. I've said in another episode, I think, I'm like, just do it. What are people going to think of you? You're a wimp? What? It's silly. And really, there's nothing more manly than actually worshiping and doing that and seeking God, because you don't have all the answers. I don't care what your pride thinks. I certainly never have had. And so I think as far as connecting with God, that's a big one, is prayer. If you have a drive to work like I once did, that's a great time. That's actually what I used to do when I would have to commute to work. I work from home now, so I've had to find other times, and often it's early in the morning even before I wake her up to pray and seek God and do devotional reading. A lot of guys like to read. If you want to learn, just dig into the Word too. You can add that to all the other trades and things you might want to learn. Just make the effort. And again, it's not just, men are emotional. They're just emotional differently, I think. And you can tap into that and use that to your advantage.
Yeah. Thank you. Very good. Gary, any questions?
You guys it's just an awesome story. I think it's very obvious hearing you two speak that God did put you two together, and he blessed you guys, and he's put you in, as parents for those children for specific reasons, and you guys are together for specific reasons to help build each other up and build your faith. And it's just, I'm glad I got to hear your story a little bit, because I think it's pretty cool, and I think it's pretty relatable for other people, because we all have to find our own ways. I mean, we're all, serving the same God. We're all believing in the same Jesus, but our lives are not all the same. Our backgrounds are not all the same. Our journeys aren't all going to be the same, but you guys are, you're blazing your own trail. You're following, you're making your own way. And it's really encouraging just sitting here. I mean, I haven't had to say anything because I'm just sitting here listening and learning about you guys and your story. And it's encouraging to me to see other Christians walk out their faith. And I think that's what we hope we can do here with this podcast, is to help some other people, because you guys, your story is going to relate to people that maybe my story doesn't relate to. And you're going to encourage a group of people that I'm not going to encourage. And the same with Emily. So I just thank you guys for taking the time and sitting down and sharing and being open and honest with us, because that's what is really going to make a difference, is that authenticity, that rawness of, sharing your story of growing up as a little kid. I mean, that's probably not easy to tell people, and I'm sure it wasn't easy to live through going through that, but God gave you Tim, and he tells you you're beautiful every day, because you are, and you were created by God, and that's awesome. So thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us. And, I know that, you guys are very active and participate quite often in the church activities, things like that. And so I'm sure with me saying this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if somebody's listening or watching this podcast and they have more questions about how you continue your faith, like maybe they need some encouragement, I'm sure that you guys would be open and willing to speak to somebody and, sit down and say, hey, you are not alone in this. Because I think there are some people, not just in the world, but in our church, that just need some encouragement, especially in this day and age. So much is going on, flooding our heads. And so for you guys to be vulnerable in your story, thank you, because like Gary said, that's going to touch somebody. Even if it's one person, you could change their life. So we really appreciate it. But I'm glad you guys got to join. And I think that's what we're going to end with tonight, unless anybody's got anything to add. Good? Okay, well, join us next time on The Cast, and we look forward to seeing you again.
This has been The Cast, a production of Bedford First Assembly of God in Bedford, Indiana. Your hosts were Emily Taylor and Gary West, produced by Shannon Hiles and Tia Hiles, and engineered by Tim Ray. Be sure to watch for new episodes of The Cast every Monday.